As we look at Ottawa, at the base of the Parliament buildings there, Parliament Hill, the convoy, the other big story from the nation's capital. Day 6 now, and a core group of protesters are staying put, clogging up the downtown. City police say there are about 250 people still there, down from the thousands who arrived last Saturday. The remaining demonstrators insist they aren't moving until all federal COVID mandates are dropped. And Ottawa police say there is no easy solution. We've learned the protest leaders will hold a news conference at 1 p.m. Eastern to address the issues as they see it. And so we'll be listening in at that time. Janice McGregor is in Ottawa with the very latest, both in terms of the reaction among local residents, growing frustration, certainly, Janice, but also what police in Ottawa are saying about how to bring this to an end.
Yeah, citizens who tuned in to the news conference yesterday to hear from their police chief, Peter Sloly, about a potential plan to fix this, end this, instead heard him suggest that this actually wasn't his force's role, in his opinion. Take a listen.
There is likely no policing solution to this, but in combination with other efforts, there may be other opportunities to substantially reduce, if not end this demonstration. It is a local demonstration, a provincial demonstration, a national demonstration, and one that has international elements associated to it.
Residents not really accepting that, wanting some accountability from their police force. It allowed this demonstration to drive their trucks downtown, even though they did not have a permit to block streets and settle in for the long haul. Residents have been measuring the decibel levels for those loud horns that keep honking, worried about damaging their hearing with this, but noise bylaws are not being enforced. Officers are still out ticketing the cars of residents who park illegally in this city, but the trucks remain untouched. Officers saying they don't want confrontation. They're even allowing cans of fuel to be wheeled in order to sustain those illegally parked vehicles. And even though there was a law passed before Christmas that was supposed to give officers new tools to prevent the harassment of healthcare workers, people on their way to work at the main palliative care hospital downtown report that they've been yelled at, abused for wearing masks on their way into the hospital, and delayed by the protests. The police chief tried to make this out like this was a national issue now. He said when police have moved in other jurisdictions, it wasn't effective. He said calling in the military would be, quote, adding amazing capabilities, but also incredible risks. And also pretty unprecedented, Heather. It's something that's only been done twice, once in 1970, face of the FLQ crisis in Quebec, and then in 1990 during the Oka crisis. But in a statement to CBC News last night, the Defense Department said that the Canadian Armed Forces aren't involved in law enforcement, and they have no plans to be. So that leaves negotiation, something the police chief said. He didn't see his officers getting involved in bargaining about when the protesters would leave, but all the federal government's willing to do is to continue to help the city out with its policing costs. The protesters say they want, quote, respectful, serious dialogue with politicians. Conservative politicians have been willing to meet with them, pose for pictures. But in question period yesterday, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau talked about how vaccine mandates very much a part of the election 6 months ago. And he said Canadians overwhelmingly supported politicians who've been firm that vaccinations are the way out of this pandemic.
1 p.m., we'll hear from the protest organizers in terms of their latest take on the situation, but they have said that they have enough money to be able to stay there for weeks. Looking into that claim, Janice, is that the case?
Yeah, that was the other headline out of this news conference yesterday, when the police chief said that there are now international contributors to what's been going on with this demonstration. Take a listen.
We are now aware of a significant element from the United States that have been involved in the funding, the organizing, and the demonstrating. They have converged in our city, and there are plans for more to come.
Last night, the protest's fundraising page was at least temporarily shut down. In a blog post, GoFundMe said that it's working with local law enforcement. It wants to make sure the fundraising isn't in violation of its policies against promoting or supporting violence. It's unclear, though, if that means that over $10 million that page has been showing won't actually be distributed then, or whether refunds are going to be issued to donors. We don't know. But it is illegal to be financing criminal or terrorist behavior. And researchers that specialize in hate groups continue to document examples of participants who have come to Ottawa with grievances that go far beyond cross-border trucking regulations.
Janice, thank you very much. Janice McGregor watching the story for us in Ottawa.